But then I thought, one of the other cats had gotten out. I shook all the food. No, they were hiding under the couch. So he was like, I got outside. Look at me. Dur, dur, dur.
Yeah, what is it about inside cats letting you know that they're outside? It's almost like they're rubbing it in.
It's
I
like,
managed to get out
ha.
here. I managed to get out here. Blah 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 blah.
All he's trying to do is, these are the same cats who, if like a bug gets in the house, it's like, oh no, interlopers, run, mom, kill it. That's your job.
You should
God,
see it
yeah,
when a
exactly.
lizard
My
gets in the
mine.
house. Woohoo!
Yeah, I can't imagine anything survives very long in Terry's house. It's just like pest control is just handled automatically.
It's like the lizard mafia going. We're sorry, we're sending it over to the Mixons. No, anything but that. No.
Yeah, you say that. You say that now. If only you could release them on the Burmese pythons, we'd have no problems, right?
I'm
It's
going
like
to
bashing into the
censor
side
my
of my head,
next.
knocking me over.
But Dad, nope,
Jesus.
no, I want to come back.
While Terry tries to de-louse himself or defer, I'll just say, howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society, where I just give up. I just give up. So far today, I've seen 3 cat tails, 2 cat butts, 4 cat faces, a tongue, and that
Come on, we're gonna get our content flagged. You can't show that kind of anatomy on this. This is a family show.
Jesus Christ. Why? Why do I have okay? Um
What we're talking about?
Terry broke me. I was just saying it's a very cat heavy episode. That's where I'm just trying to go with this. Um my God.
Wow.
We just need to change the name of the podcast. Writer Familiars podcast with Terry's cats. Just a 24-hour, a 24/7 camera on the cats. Are you here now?
That would.
Somebody got his attention.
Are you here now? Are you with us?
I've been here. I've been trying to maintain, my seat since the cat keeps trying to knock me out of it.
Oh, is that what that is?
I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I really don't believe it. V, please help me get on track. What the hell have you been up to?
Let's see. Well, I wasn't here last week because I was at a bowling tournament, which actually went very well for anybody who cares about bowling. It went well. I think I'll have to check the standings, but my daughter finished in the top 10 for her age group so far. My son, because his group is much, much bigger. It's the largest competing group. I think he was in the top 40. But he had several games that were well over 200. She had at least one that was over 200 pins. So very good, fun times. And I've been outlining, working on the 3rd iteration of a story outline, and sending out auditions for work. Same old, same old.
Very boring. Terry,
I know.
tell us something that's not boring.
Yeah, be
My
exciting,
wife
Terry.
has lost her mind.
If you
Now
go
it's
to
on
the
the record.
Discord and you check the live channel, you'll see what he's talking about.
My wife recently made an order from a couple of Etsy folk living in Poland, Ukrainian refugees living in Poland, to give us some wall-mounted cat accessories. We'll just put it that way.
That almost sounds like something that's going to be from a Hostel movie or something like that,
Oh, that's not right. That's really, why does your brain have to go there?
I don't know.
Wow.
It just does. That's what I heard. It's what images came into my head. Cats just did not make out very well with that equipment. Anyway, continue.
We've had Mia the cat in the house for a week. She's still very skittish and not eating the way that I would like it. So I took her to the vet this morning to make sure that she was okay, and the vet says she is fine. It's going to be a long process to integrate her. What I can say for certain is she is absolutely, totally not pleased with me picking her up off the safety petting zone and taking her in the cat carrier to the vet.
Hmm.
I have violated her trust.
Oh no!
Oh dear.
Did you pull back a bloody stump to boot?
No.
Hmm.
Nothing like that.
She was just greatly displeased.
As soon as I got back home, she went and hid underneath the bench. It's like, nope, not coming out. You can't has none. There will be no lebbins.
Oh, poor baby.
She's freaking me out because she's not eating wet food. She wouldn't even eat tuna. Just like, no. She'll graze a little bit at the dry food, but the wet food, nope.
One of mine doesn't touch wet food. I don't know if it's the consistency. I don't know if it's the smell. She won't do the little puree packs. She won't do it. She's a very picky eater. So, and to be fair, she is the most lovably neurotic of my pounds. So maybe there's something there. But poor baby. She's so pretty too.
She is. She's going to be a very long time inside the reloading room by herself until I start bringing her out in the soft crate so that she can be forced to hiss at everybody.
Forced to hiss.
Yes.
Does she not hiss?
Oh, she hissed us just fine. I opened the door and two of the boys were standing in the hall looking in, and she saw them from about 5 feet away, and the hiss machine began.
Well, at least she's assertive.
And then she ran and hid.
So what else apart from maintaining cat madness?
The writing goes well. I think I'm probably close to 20,000 words in the new book. I got the one that I turned into the editor back to go through their comments last night, and I'll finish it today and get it sent back to them.
Oh, cool.
So that'll get that off my plate, and more writing will continue. I'm still reading through the last Empire of Bones book so that I can refamiliarize myself. And I'm like, ooh, boy, there's a lot of things that are going on I didn't remember.
You put them through a lot.
Yeah, I put them through a lot. We'll see. It'll probably take me another 2 weeks to finish reading it and then start writing on it in conjunction with the work that I'm already doing. But it's happening, so I can't complain.
No, that's cool.
Nice.
I'm just getting my new schedule established because I have a J job again, so to speak. So I'm still getting up at 4 a.m. So I do my 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. shift, get an hour and a half of sleep, and then get up and start my day for the rest of it. And if I have stuff to do, then I do it. And if I don't have stuff to do, then I go work on other stuff. But I've been trying to work or trying to get 1,000 words today, or 1,000 words a day before I start that shift, or try and shoot for at least 1,000 words a day. I'm almost making it. Skinny Puppy interrupted everything last night. So that's all I can say in that regard. I saw them on their last tour. It's over, man. They're done. Until they all
it's going to be
realize
like the Rolling
more
Stones. They're
drugs.
going to continue doing this forever so that Keith Richards will never die.
That's the Stones. That's a completely different band.
It's completely
Yes,
different
but
genre.
he's a necromancer. Keith Richards is a necromancer. He does not care.
I would read that. I would read the shit out of that.
Yo, that's kind of scary that you would read that. That was really terrifying that you would read that.
No, like a good magical realism rock and roll crossover. Hell yeah. Then again, I did kind of I watched the Weird Al biopic yesterday, and that was a deliciously bizarre parody of every like rock and roll debauchery film. It was glorious. It was so absurd.
Spinal Tapish.
Oh,
As
yes.
far as in tone, okay.
Oh, it was I think you have to the best way I can describe it would be this is Spinal Tap plus the sheer like seriousness of A Mighty Wind in terms of like the music storytelling, um, but give it all of the seriousness and gravitas of the Freddie Mercury
Oh God.
biography movie.
Oh no. Oh no.
It was marvelous.
That just sounds like a train wreck.
It was, but watching because they had cameos of all these different actors and personalities from the 70s and 80s show up as part of big influence, and watching Conan O'Brien play Andy Warhol was amusing as all get out. Oh yes. Watching Jack Black play Wolfman Jack, that was hysterical. Rainn Wilson actually made a really good Dr. Demento. So
I'll take it all under advisement and never watch it.
that's okay. It's each their own.
So they say. I just don't know.
So I went and saw the D&D movie.
Ooh, how was it?
It was good. I think that even as a gamer, they may have had too many callbacks to the game in there for my liking, but it was well done. It was a fun story told in a funny way. And I think I've gamed with those characters in many different occasions. They're all deeply flawed in amusing ways.
That's amazing that actually worked. I when they're making those movies like that, that's the same thing. It's like, is it going to be another piece of shit? Probably. So I'll just wait and not see it.
I think the most amusing part for me is they ran into a dragon in it, which of course, you're going to play Dungeons and Dragons. You're going to have a dragon in there somewhere, right? This dragon was morbidly obese. I'm talking, really, how could you do anything? And the answer was it could not do much as it was trying to kill them. And one of the heroes is
like waddling after them.
The dragon such and such. He's found a new lair. And Chris Pine's like, what did he do to the last one? Eat it?
Draconis Chonkus.
That's exactly what it was. Draconis Chonkus.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying that they mentioned that name, but that's what that was. I'll have to see if I can find a picture of the dragon. I'm sure it's out there somewhere on the internet.
That's awesome. And you notice it's going to show up on somebody's campaign if it hasn't already.
That character, or excuse me, that name has to be carried to Draconis Chunkus. I just love that. That is awesome. That has to be a character has to be named that at some point. It just has to happen. Then there has to be a whole backstory.
Well, dragons hoard a lot of things. That one clearly hoarded calories. I mean, the mountainside was full of sheep at one point. Now he's just full of them.
No, the town where they made all the chocolate for the entire kingdom, he ate them all.
So that's what happened to Willy Wonka's factory.
There you go. Dragon ate it. And thus Chuckus was born. Well, hello, chat. How the hell are you? I see you over there. We got our eyes on you. We see you. We see what you're doing. You should be afraid of that. Everything is a train wreck. See, I just don't understand the allure of some of this craziness. Oh my God. Okay, Terry just posted that in Discord, the Draconis Chunkus. All right, this brings up that top. This is interesting to me. Wow, V, that's a hell of a face.
It looks like what?
It looks like those really overfed gators.
Exactly.
Like where they're like all puffed out in the jaws and they're missing teeth in the front and they're just like all just like squat down.
See, how do you do this in fiction though, as a writer? Make something this ridiculous scary.
It's still
Except
just
for
about ate their ass anyway. So.
Exactly.
Still breathing fire.
It may be fat, but it's a dragon. It still almost got them.
It'd be even funnier if it made like really, really old man wheezing sounds as it was coming after you.
The wheezes just put out a little more smoke each
Yeah,
time.
just little smoke puffs. Instead of an oxygen tank, it's like got a gas tank or something like that. So they help him sort fire.
So wrong.
Oh.
So wrong. Wow.
No, we did not. We did not make that joke. That says Draconis Chonkus. I feel a mother-in-law joke coming on. He's trying to hold his tongue. I don't believe it.
It's a lie.
Yes, we have a new background. It's no longer black. If all three of us weren't on here, you would see one of the really, really old DRS logos that is just not around anymore, which was kind of cool to find in art assets. Just scary, scary business. Well, what the hell do you people know?
I think we should talk about what we were supposed to talk about the last time V was here that we just barely glanced at as we were roaring by at 90 miles an hour.
Now, wait a minute. I want everybody to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you go back and watch that episode, because I did, because I have to do that, I got steamrolled by the two of you.
I tried to bring stuff back on.
No, you did not. Whatever you did, you immediately derailed it yourself just to make a point of how easily distracted we are.
I think you're giving her way too much credit for organization with that. No, that was just what was happening. She was rolling.
It's really bad when I have to deal with two whirling dervishes of chaos, okay? So since I tried to bring up the topic last week or last time, 2 weeks ago, it's obvious I was not able to carry it off. So maybe the douchebag who was coming up with the topic should try it. William says they're threatening to talk about writing. Oh, that's helpful.
He says he's fixing his keyboard.
Oh.
That would do it.
Great. So I'm glad we're gonna have a lot of text chat from Tim in there, and God only knows what's writing got to do with this.
What's writing got to do with this?
So it was what, keeping promises to the reader?
Mm-hmm.
We can't even keep promises to our podcast viewers and listeners.
As we brazenly didn't keep promises about what the episode was going to be about. Which
I had to change the title.
Nice.
Tim, really?
Okay, so I'll try to keep this on target, let's say. So, keeping promises. What kind are promises genre specific? Because I know there's certain things that people expect out of one genre over another, or out of a certain author's book. So you pick up books by an author because you know that based on your previous experiences with that author, this is kind of the experience you're going to get. If I pick up a Polly Cooley book, there's going to be a body count. I expect that body count. And if I don't have a body count, has the author let me down?
Well, you're going to have to go ahead and answer that for yourself, because Paul's already said last week that he's switching to clean Christian romance.
Look, you couldn't carry that bit off on April Fool's Day. You're sure as fuck not going to carry it off now.
How much of a body count could you get in clean Christian romance?
Phrasing is just so about to I mean, you almost broke my phrasing indicator or censor
Well,
or whatever.
my it's not so much phrasing as the I'm gonna try not to offend people. But technically the rapture's not supposed to leave bodies behind. So, it all depends on, you know.
That would be a great trope to introduce into yours. If you're doing, your own version of clean Christian romance, whenever the characters finally get it on and they have that rapturous moment, then everybody else around them dies, vanishes. They're all gone. That happens every book, the entire world vanishes. That's your rapture.
My brain hurts.
I know. He's
I
so
can't.
good. He's so good at just.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's painful. You'll either get used to it or you'll get so numb and just lose hope in humanity that you just don't care anymore. That's kind of where I'm at with him.
I
But
think what
still,
you're
well, he just makes me
But
shake my
but
head.
actually, since you brought up clean Christian romance, that is an excellent, excellent example of a genre that has very, very concrete expectations and promises. And if you, as the author, break those promises or
Oh
try
yeah.
to push outside the bounds,
you will get slapped down.
you will be yelled at by a bunch of church ladies.
Now,
Because how dare you not shut the bedroom door on those scenes? How dare you have kisses that involve things like tongue? I mean, it's you're breaking the rules, gosh darn it.
yes, but he's
How
a
dare you
dentist. It's
swear?
allowed. It's a professional relationship.
I wasn't
Now,
aware the tongue depressor was actually just another tongue. I wasn't aware that's how that worked.
I think that would qualify as an implicit promise, one that's built into the format of what you're doing.
Okay.
Which is separate from the author, I guess.
So there's
What-
there's genre promises that if the author is going to predictably write in the genre, they have to keep those promises to the reader. And
Yes.
then there's the promises that the author makes in the setup of their story.
Yeah.
That if you don't follow through on them, then you're going to disappoint the reader. Not because they had any expectations before they picked up the book, but because you set expectations in the first quarter or third of the book and you didn't fulfill them.
There is the thing they call Chekhov's gun, that if you put a gun on the mantelpiece, you better use it. And I heard a story about William Shatner doing a live television performance once where he got caught in the middle of the Chekhov's gun thing because he was playing a murderer and he was supposed to pick up a paper bag that was on the mantelpiece of the fireplace, take out a gun and shoot the other person. And when he picked up the bag, it had a sandwich in it, not a gun. So he had to close the bag and then go strangle the person because he didn't have the hardware that he needed.
Which is exactly what my character would do.
Right, because you have to improvise. You promised death. The death will have to happen somehow, either by gun or by sandwich.
You promised the gun would be used. It did not say it would be used successfully. But
Right.
What if you go for that gun and it's just not there like this? It's the ultimate joke. Is that too far for the reader, or is that something you could pull off? That the gun got removed, or somehow whatever weapon it was they were looking for got removed.
I think the twist has to be big enough so that the surprise is better. I mean, like, you say at some point you're a kid and your parents promise you something, and for whatever reason it doesn't happen. Well, either you're grossly disappointed or they come in with something that's even better. You're like, oh, this is way better. So if you're able to come up with something that's way better, people forget about the initial promise. They're like, oh, well, I'm glad he didn't do that. This is a far better resolution.
I think that the danger, I mean, obviously, if you use the Chekhov's gun analogy, then you got to have it there. I guess I'm saying that the supermassive, huge weapon that the good guy is supposed to use misfires. Doesn't, it gets used in the way it's supposed to get used, but maybe not. But at least you've addressed it. In other words, you didn't just leave it there and move on. So I guess that is a reader expectation, especially in a mystery or a thriller. If that shit is there, it better go bang at some point in proverbial sense.
I read a mystery years ago that violated one of the precepts of a mystery. It was a first-person story, and you get to the end of the thing, and you find out that the person telling the story that's been investigating it was, in fact, the murderer. That was a betrayal. Because it was concealing something that the narrator knew.
But is that, without having read it, was it deliberately obfuscating those facts?
Just
and so
never,
if you
the character
if,
never thought about the instance, even as the investigation goes, just never focused on the fact that they were the one responsible. They just excised that fact out of it. Otherwise, it was a normal murder mystery. They just failed to mention the part where they were the murderer.
Okay. So it's not like a case where there's a big twist at the end, and if you know the twist, you can go back and read or watch.
Yeah, that's
thinking,
exactly it.
Okay.
You couldn't
Because
go
the
back and look
latter-
at that. Yeah.
So I didn't leave the breadcrumbs behind. Because that's
And
more or
you
less
talk
kind
about
of
reader expectations. There was a science fiction book that I read years ago that the guy was traveling the universe trying to find the answer to the question, why were we all born to suffer and then die? So it's a philosophical sort of thing. Now, as the backstory to this, his starship's drive, every time it jumped him to a new solar system, it extinguished a sun. So in traveling the universe, he is in fact killing the universe. Till he gets to the last place where the wise man is, and he's already killed the sun there. The sky is darkening. The world is getting cold, blah, blah, blah. And he asked the wise man that knows the answer, why are we born to suffer and then die? And the answer at the end of the book was, why not? I think that's one of the few books that I've thrown across the room.
Yeah, that's somebody who should not have gotten his advance paid. I mean, jeez.
But
I'm sorry.
He made a promise to the reader that they were going to answer the question that he kept asking, and the answer was totally not acceptable.
It was.
This is the non-humorous version of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is what this is. It's a non-humorous of deep thought in Earth.
Yeah, it's going on a road trip and winding up at, what's touted as the world's largest ball of twine, and it's, just a little skein of yarn that someone put on a table out in the field and said, hey, look. It's like, this kind of sucks. It technically it is an answer. It is a ball of fiber coiled there, but that's not what you promised, and I wasted all my time getting here.
And how many untold trillions of beings did I murder on the way here?
And that too. I mean, I don't think I murder anybody to go see the substandard, ball of twine, but damn.
When you're writing your stories, what type of promises do you make the reader? That is you promising the reader something. Paul promises dead bodies. That's what he promises.
Right.
I promise suspense.
With dead bodies.
Not necessarily, but
Have you ever
usually
had a book
somebody.
without dead bodies?
Huh?
Have you ever had a book without dead bodies? So we, like I said, you promised them dead bodies.
Yeah, sorry, somebody is dead.
Somebody's dead somewhere.
Somebody's dead. Gosh.
Okay, fine. I admit I like dead bodies. Okay, there we go. I've said it. Okay.
Phrasing?
Phrasing.
I did not say what context, and we weren't in the same context, so it's not phrasing. However, I will remember that you said that later. Regardless, there are people who die in my books. Yes, that is a well-known fact.
Yes. Let's see. Mine. I don't know yet. But I mean, I do a lot of collaborative writing, so the promises that people will generally get are I don't know. I didn't say it. But it I don't know enough yet about my solo writing. I know that with the collaborative stuff that I'm doing, people are going to get they're going to get complex female characters, and there's usually going to be a conflict dealing with family. Either found family, the question of found family over biological family, or like your childhood family placement.
Gotcha.
And then, horrible double entendres and witty dialogue.
Sounds awful.
So
It is, but it's so much fun to write.
With Empire of Bones, I made a promise in that first book that they were going to find out what happened to the Empire. It's taken many books to get to that answer, but they have found out what happened to it. At the end of the book, I kind of made a promise that Kelsey had a lot of growing in ways she never expected to do. And I think it delivered on that too.
Mm-hmm.
So you set up a premise of growth or exploration or something else, and then you have to follow through with your readers so that they get what you've promised. If you promise to find a murderer in your book, you better find a murderer. If you write Jack Reacher, there better be a lot of broken up people by the time you're done.
Yes, there will be. I would say Derelict Saga, I promised to reveal what the AI conspiracy was. I promised in the very back cover there was an AI conspiracy. And then people were pissed when they didn't get that resolved in the first book. But that was about the whole goddamn saga starting to get it in there. So I set up that expectation and wasn't met for some people in the first book and didn't realize it was going to be a long haul. I got called out for it. And I'm sure those folks didn't come back for the second, third, or fourth book. Is what it is. William says, growing in ways she never expected him to. That's not clean Christian romance. Why? Why do we bother watching chat?
I don't know.
We're here to entertain our listeners, and they are entertained.
Clearly.
Matt says there's a line from a song by Frank Turner that I think applies, and we're all definitely going to hell, but we'll have all the best stories to tell. Isn't that pretty much blues in a nutshell? Sort of, kind of.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of, maybe.
They've been talking in chat. They hadn't gotten off the entire part of clean Christian romance. They kind of segued into the Bible.
I know.
And implied promises. And they were saying, like, didn't Jesus coming back after 3 days, didn't that break one of the promises because, you killed him and then you didn't kill him? And I don't know.
I hadn't thought about that. Actually, if you go back and think about a lot of the myths, they break a lot of fucking promises they set up. Because there's divine intervention everywhere because you're all talking about gods.
Well, if you look back at Norse mythology, if you really boil everything down, all the problems are because Zeus can't keep it in his pants.
That's Greek, but yes.
Greek, sorry. Odin. Odin should probably not be Zeus.
All right, fine. Roman, it's Jupiter. Jupiter can't keep it in his pants.
Or his toga.
And
or
their
whatever
father
he's
couldn't
wearing.
either. And their father's father couldn't either. So nobody could ever keep it in their pants. Just
Yep.
the way it works. They had
Yep.
it very incestuous.
You say very incestuous, and then I see a picture of a cat. And I'm like, I don't know.
The phrasing just it's all over the place every day, every episode here. That's what I'm thinking. Wow. So what other reader expectations have you seen broken?
Let's see.
Or story expectations?
Where it seems like it's going to be one kind of story, as in one kind of genre, and you find out that it's not really, that it's actually something different.
Yeah.
An example, please.
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but there's been a few books over the years that I've read where I picked it up based on the back cover blurb and found out that it really was not the kind of story they were promising.
At what point did you figure that out, and did you finish the book?
I mostly do finish books. There's been a few that I haven't finished, but if I'm already committed to starting it, I've already got it in my hands, I'm probably going to finish it.
Okay. I was curious. In what way didn't they make the live up to the promises?
Well, it's like that's almost a different genre of book than they promised.
Instead
They
of getting
promised
science
you-
fiction, you got fantasy?
Instead of science fiction, maybe you got more horror, where it didn't say something like that in the blurb, where it didn't clue you in that you were in a horror suspense type thing, but nevertheless, that's where it ended up.
Yep.
Gotcha.
I've started watching movies like that, where I'm like, oh, this looks like sci-fi. This is horror. No, I cannot. Why did I start watching this?
Nope. Go
Nope.
see Nope. Nope is awesome. Nope is incredible. Such a smart movie. Such
I like
a smart movie.
I like a good smart movie.
It's a good, smart, sci-fi, suspenseful movie. It'll make you think. And it's hilarious. Some of the one-liners are just fucking beautiful. That's great.
Yeah, go ahead.
Matt says, pick up a book with a spaceship on the cover and space has got nothing to do with it. Does that happen often?
I've been guilty of that.
My publisher has been guilty of that. Black Arrival was marketed as a deep sea thriller. There's no part of that book except for the prologue that takes place on the ocean. And I didn't have really anything to say about that. It was kind of like, here's the cover. And I'm like, that is not...
It'll match the other one nicely, but it won't match the story inside.
Right. It won't match the story at all. And if we had done all of them like that, I think it would have been a huge mistake and a ripoff of the reader. And I wasn't for that. So, but that was kind of a breaking expectations too.
The first
So
book
I've
in
done
the
it too.
Humanity Unlimited saga has a spaceship on the cover, and it is until the very end of the book that they actually get off the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that I've done this to someone.
Oh, Matt says I've been lied to by album art too. Haven't we all?
Yep.
Album art and movie posters. Both. And software packaging.
One of the things that and this was a recent story I finished, one of the expectations that I have when I'm listening to lit RPG and really any science fiction, any fantasy, anything that has a good component of action and movement in the storytelling, I expect the stakes to get raised every single time. So if you have a conflict in the middle of the story and the challenge that your protagonist faces should be lesser than the one that they face in the finale. So it's I don't want my big boss fight in the middle of the book. If I'm following, if I'm following a game, if I'm following, an adventure, the most difficult, challenging, big thing should happen towards the end of the book. Otherwise, I feel like, I mean, to use a gaming analogy, it feels like I finished the game halfway through, and now I'm just kind of like muddling through a DLC that doesn't
Go
really
anywhere
get
or do
yeah, it
anything.
doesn't get me to the next like big chunk of the story. Yeah, there's some cool character development maybe, but it's wasting my time as a reader. And I think if you're telling a story and you're not amping up the action and emotion so that when you finally hit that end and there's, your big battle and there's this huge accomplishment, if it's not big enough by the end of the story, it's like you feel let down.
Yeah.
When
Nora Roberts stopped writing romance, for the most part, when she had her breakup with the publisher she was doing that with, the book I read after that of hers had a lot of the same tropes that she used in romance, but it was not a romance story. There was no happily ever after. There wasn't even, any happy for now at the end of it. They parted as friends, as we say. But it was really hard, even though I had been told ahead of time, this is not a romance. All of the same tropes were still there and being used. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm not sure what I think about this. Because it was hard to get past the body of work that she'd already produced that fit that role. So she didn't promise that it was going to be a romance, but it was hard for me to get that implied promise of this is a Nora Roberts book out of my head.
So you're telling me I should never write clean Christian romance is what you're telling me?
I think you should, just so that you can break the minds of everyone that possibly could read it.
I don't know. Could you write clean Garaga romance?
No. How do you write clean succubus incubus stories? I don't know how the fuck you do that. I'm sorry, Mr. Winky's kind of important, and so is Mrs. Winky. Or I'm going to stop now. Please help me.
Nope.
Absolutely not.
Please, stepsister, help me.
Stepsister, what kind of story is this? Now we've went into pseudo incest. Oh my god!
Well, see, I was trying to make a point about clean Christian romance and pornography, but never mind.
Wow.
Is Bigfoot going to make an appearance?
Is there clean Bigfoot romance?
I would wager not.
Okay, I'm not going to go down that path of thought. It was amusing
and
for a bit.
Implied it was shaved and showered first.
Oh boy.
Matt says, I don't think Garaga has any romance at all. Sex, yes. Romance, nope. What?
Hey. Actually, yes, they can. I've narrated one of those. Yes, they can. There are different morals, but there's morals.
So is this the Brett you've been talking about?
Yeah, it's the Brett who's a problem. This is
okay, Brett. Okay, Brett. This is for you, Brett. Only for you.
For those only listening, Terry has decided to, in grand Vanna White fashion, show off his new cat claw decorated free chair.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
About 5 minutes.
And it's not a new chair. It's just a cover.
It's just a cover. But it's a step in the right direction. Got to class up this place.
Yeah, because I ain't doing it.
Occupy would be a blast.
Have I read any of those?
Yeah, Brett says the succubus can have morals and romance. Absolutely. It's just the problem set is the ethos is a different skew than necessarily regular humans would be, because it has
Mhm.
to be. It's pretty. I give it 2 days.
Sounds legit.
It seems legit. Wholesome succubi. I don't know how I would carry that off. Not Garaga. A succubi that's non-Garaga, I could probably pull it off, but I don't think I can pull it off with a Garaga succubi. I don't think it will work. Talk about breeding, breaking reader expectations.
I totally want to see you breeding reader expectations. That's a totally different kind of book right there.
Oh my god, I need scotch. Jesus. Ah, this is bad.
Scotch and Jesus. Wow, it's gone to that point.
Scotch, Jesus, and succubuses.
Succubi. That's my next book title.
The new
right
DRS
there.
anthology coming out in 2024.
No, fuck no. Only if you do everything, and I mean everything. Matt says succubus with the whole teenage, but does he love me for me things going on?
Angsty teenage. Oh.
That could be a really messed up story right there.
Okay.
I'm just thinking like it's like the Disney Channel High School Musical treatment.
It's
Of
Teen
that
Wolf,
whole-
but we know with Rumpy Pumpy.
I was a teenage succubus.
Whoa! Whoa! That has possibilities, man. I like that.
Oh.
I actually did have a whole book I was trying to write many, many years ago. Guys, it's been probably better than a decade. Which is about a young man who's of the Garaga lineage, only nobody has told him. There's no one to guide him. And when shit goes sideways, it goes sideways in about 1 billion different directions, requiring certain other parties to get involved.
So you're saying it's like Garaga meets magical girl mythos.
Sailor Cooley Garaga.
Fuck you.
No, but think about it. You've got someone who doesn't know about the latent, abilities inside them and what really influences their powers, and then some familiar has to come along and say, "Guess what?" And he's like, "What? Look at this little, token with the swirly thing." And he goes, "What?" And then all of the flashy, sparkly colors and jewels.
Just say sparkly. Did you really just say sparkly?
I did.
In presence of Garaga, you just said sparkly.
So you could have the Garaga spawn do this, and then these big black SUVs just come whipping in around the thing, and you do the whole flash the light, erase everybody's memories, but nobody explains it, they just leave again. They're like, who are they? What the hell was that all about?
Okay, so maybe it's not sparkly. Maybe it's just like these big, gouts of blood and, all the chanting, "Wah," and, that he stands there in really questionable robes. It's like, oh, no, what?
Williams says Incubus helping the old lady across the street after making the young lady into the old lady the night before. You haven't read Legend or Damon's, because that's kind of sort of a thing with those people for reasons. But yeah, basically it's the ethics and morals, but of course that also drifts into the vampire is just a misunderstood human territory, which I really can't stand. These are predators. They may have to change some of their attitudes, and they may befriend the sheep, but the sheep are still sheep, and they are not shepherds. They are wolves. William says no sparkly, everything sparkly, sparkly blood. Glitter blood. There we go. I bleed glitter.
Garaga glitter. There you go.
Garaga glitter. It's green and sparkly in the way Cthulhu is.
Look what he sprinkled all over her naughty bits.
I just, it took me a moment, and when I got there, it was scary.
That's what she said.
Help me, please. Somebody help me. Oh
I'm
my
just-
God, we have
I'm-
drifted off into hell. Oh, Terry, I hate you so much. So much.
So clearly, we're meeting our listener expectations for derailing things totally, and running off into 17 different directions.
Sparkle parts.
Wow.
Today on the next episode of Sparkle Parts. It sounds like an OnlyFans video channel, doesn't it?
No, it sounds like an utterly fabulous version of Car Talk.
Wow, fabulous. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah,
I want to watch the fabulous version of Car Talk.
I do too. I do too.
Oh God, would the accents be the same?
They could be.
Oh boy.
Why not?
Did you ever watch the show? What was it? Straight Eye from the Queer Guy.
Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Yes.
Queer Eye
that.
for the Straight Guy. That's it.
They have a couple iterations.
So you can
of
have
it.
that for the auto field, and that would be what that show would be.
So that'd be just another version of Pimp My Ride.
Yes, but it would be fabulously pimping your ride.
I don't know about this. There you go. William says click and clack know how to spackle.
Spackle.
Spackle. Those guys were funny. They really were.
Wow.
That's so Gen X. That just sounds like My Little Pony episode that you couldn't watch with the kids. Where'd we get all this horse glitter? Shh. We don't talk about where we get it from.
Yeah. Part of me's like, I think I've seen that episode, but I'm not sure. Some of the, not the most recent iteration, but the reboot that happened that kind of that relaunched all of that relaunched the fascination and all the merchandising with My Little Pony. It was written, there were some interesting in-jokes and, entendres in there with certain lines and characters and whatnot. So.
We see Terry has nothing to add to the conversation except a cat.
A cat.
Oh God, it's so hopeless. Trying to get him to focus.
It's evil genius impersonation.
No, that would be
yes,
the
Mr.
one
Bond.
beneath my monitor.
Why no, Mr. Bond? I expect you to die.
And yet he never does.
And he only dies once.
Spoiler alert. Technically 3 times. Technically.
Could very well be. I don't really remember a lot of the Bond episodes. They kind of all bleed together.
They're kind of like all the same movie at some point. Doesn't change all that much. Well, we have babbled for like 54 minutes, so there's anything you guys want us to talk about. It is.
Stay on topic.
It's like the show just started and suddenly
So
it's like,
if you
damn,
have
we're
any,
almost here.
If you have any Sparkle specific questions, now's the time to ask them.
I may or may not answer them. May or may not. I don't guarantee anything. Now, this I believe. Matt says first rule of Sparkle Club is you don't talk about Sparkle Club. Correct.
That sounds like a line for that Garaga's familiar.
Yeah, it does actually. It does. Bond dying would be like clean Christian romance porn. Can you have clean porn?
You can't. And that's why he's saying Bond can't die. It just doesn't fit. But nevertheless, they made it where he dies. At least one.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bond lives in a multiverse.
Yes.
Oh, let's not even go there. They just keep rebooting it every actor. There's almost no carryover at all. And then there's sometimes no carryover between the films. So yeah, sounds right. Sounds completely right. I saw some bullshit about they think that they're going to sell more books this year than last year.
Who's
And they expect audiobooks to do another double-digit growth.
Yep.
And how much of that do you think the authors will, the producers, the narrators, and everybody else will see?
Not as much as they fucking should.
Nope. And there are a couple different. I don't know if anybody else has used Findaway, but they sent out another email that they're doing away with one of their different services. So honestly, and I've got to do a better job of like putting this out, but if you're an author and you want to put your book in audio and you've listened to a narrator on another audiobook, or you know someone that a fellow author uses, there is absolutely nothing wrong with sending that narrator an email or a message through Facebook or hitting them up on Instagram or whatever and saying, hey, what's your schedule like? I want to talk to you about, putting my book in audio.
Yep. Fuck
because
ACX.
Yeah, because you're going to keep more money in your pocket by only handling the distribution yourself. There are a lot of options, and most narrators know where to go. If they aren't incorporated themselves and have that process streamlined so that they're also a publisher, they know people who do it. And we like referring our friends. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. And it's not, the industry as a whole is not looking out for indie authors or indie narrators.
Indie anything.
Yeah.
Really.
I know that the folks that were doing the Audible Gate thing are still pursuing class action status.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which means if that goes through, we'll all get 30 cents on the dollar for,
that
some minor
a class action lawsuit might not just get monetary response. It may get a court saying you can't do X type of behavior.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. I think if they really believe it's going to be a problem, and points, all things seem to point to where Google and Amazon are getting twitchy. They may finally decide on their own accord that suddenly we're going to make things a little more fair on the percentage part. Yeah, because you're terrified that the Congress is finally going to do something.
I want somebody to look at Audible's books.
So do I.
And if they're going to talk about, oh yeah, we're going to pay them more, pay me back for the, 12 years I've been getting royalties from work. I want that added on to the back end, because Lord knows they don't need that money.
They haven't done anything to earn it.
No. And that's the thing. If all they did was distribute it to the main areas, there are groups that will distribute to the big three and others. And it's simply educating. Authors Republic's also, well, they're doing that, but they're also having some.
I know that BookFunnel
Don't tell me that.
Still probably in beta, but they're doing audio as well through BookFunnel, and it may be at some point that they become a distributor. I know Drafted Digital does ebooks. Who knows? Maybe at some point they'll do audio as well.
They've talked about AI stuff, unfortunately, and that's made me kind of step back. Because it's there are some things that are worth doing halfway versus not doing them at all. Cleaning the bathroom, worth doing halfway rather than not cleaning at all. Vacuuming, worth doing halfway than not doing it at all. Putting your work out in audio, creating another representation of your words to tell your story, Do you want to put a shitty cover on your book? No. Don't put shitty audio out. Because that's going to ruin your reputation. And people are like, oh, it's just about the story. Good narration will cover for a questionable story. Bad narration will ruin a good story.
Yeah.
Excuse me, let me get off my soapbox.
No, I will not.
Damn it.
Well, with that, we got to get out of here. So if you have a question about this show or comment, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul_E_Cooley at VYRSE.social. You can find us at the listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where Terry wrangles all the madness. If you want to see us, you can go to youtube.com/DRS podcast and look at all of these wonderful episodes with these crazy people in chat and too damned many cats. If you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast, as well as buymeacoffee.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive things like DRS After Dark, which is coming up in just a couple of minutes. The links are posted. Go get them, folks. Let's get nasty. We're gonna see if we can get Veronica.
Is that what the
up.
after show is going to be about?
Oh yeah, baby.
Bring out the sparkle.
Hang on, we'll get glitter.
At the $10
glitter bomb goes off.
At the $10 sparkly level, you get your name read, and our $10 patrons are Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you very much to all of our patrons who make this show possible. And we have one more thing to do, which is to admit our caffeine addiction, and there's no 12-step program for us. It's hopeless. And we get our caffeine from corpsecoffee.com. Visit corpsecoffee.com and get your hands on their wonderful coffees, boutique teas, and check out their wonderfully weird webcomic and tell them DRS sent you. Visit corpsecoffee.com and get the dead in your cup. Wow, my voice cracked.
It's like you're going through, puberty or something.
I was going to make that joke, but then you spoiled it. So with that, folks, we are going to get out of here. Thanks for joining us today. And as always, and I hope you had a good time. And we'll see you next week. So now I hit the end.